Coming up on Stonation.
Insights. Just the build quality of the Storyteller is just head and shoulders above anything else I've seen. Um, it's just amazing, just the craftsmanship that goes into it. From concept to completion, though, there are very few shortcomings that I see, and even then, they're easy fixes.
Welcome to another episode of Stonation, a production of Park Media. Before I introduce today's guest, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share, and leave a 5-star review. And if you find this podcast useful in any way and want to pay us the ultimate compliment, head on over to our Patreon page where you can subscribe to be a Classic, Stealth, or Beast Mode subscriber. Stonation, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode. On this episode, I was able to talk to one of the few people that I know who switched from a Winnebago Revel to a Storyteller, Ryan Vickerman. Ryan talks about what prompted him to make such a switch, how he was lucky to acquire a Storyteller relatively quickly, what he likes about the Storyteller in comparison, and even what he misses from his old Revel. So if you're in the market and can't choose between a Revel or a Storyteller, I hope you find this podcast useful. So sit back, relax, and please welcome Ryan Vickerman to the Stonation family. Hey Ryan, how's it going?
Doing great. How about yourself?
I'm great. Welcome to Stonation. Thanks for being a guest.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I wanted to get you on the podcast because you're one of the few people that I know that used to own a Revel, and now you own a Storyteller. So do you mind giving us a backstory of that transition and why you went from a Revel to a Storyteller?
Well, the Revel, a great van. It was my first RV ever, so that's what I cut my teeth on. It's a great platform. Just obviously ready-made adventure van right out of the box, and it was a no-brainer. I had considered a self-build at first, and just because I'm a little bit handy, it'd be nice to kind of own something outright as you build it. But I was a little bit impatient. And and also too, the benefits of like financing, an RV, obviously are there as well too. And so yeah, put down my deposit, stepped in line, and I think I waited. It was only like 6-8 months at the time, and it was a 2019 Revel on the 18 chassis, and just loved it to death. But great starter van for me. Kind of learned the ins and outs of RV ownership and maintenance, and just life on the road in general. But when it came time to replace it, I kind of knew the shortcomings of the platform, and wanted to get into something that was more aligned with my lifestyle and some of the activities I like, and that's what led me to the Storyteller.
Well, what happened? Like, was it just one day you're like, I want a new van, or was there something that happened that made you get a new van, or?
Yeah, I wish I had that kind of money. But anyways, it's kind of a long story. But I was actually making my way back from Washington. I think it's for Thanksgiving, as a matter of fact. But anyways, I was somewhere in the middle of nowhere, South Dakota, and pulled off the road a little bit bleary-eyed. Just want to check my maps, try to find something on, iOverland or something thereabouts. So just some place to crash that wasn't a truck stop, and anyways, I went to, this is so embarrassing to even admit this, but anyways, I went to go make a U-turn in the middle of this downtown area, little podunk town. And I was going, turning radius isn't so good on a Revel, or Sprinter in general. So it was taking a little wide, went up on the curb a little bit with one tire, and all of a sudden my van just stopped. It just, and I thought that I like hit a tank up on the curb or something, just because, the Revels are pretty low, everything is underneath. So anyways, I backed off of it because I couldn't get over the curb, just like, again, putting one tire up on it, which is really stupid of me. But anyways, backed up only to discover this little knee-high old school, fire hydrant that didn't even scratch, but my bumper was just caved in, and So
Oh wow.
yeah, it was pretty gnarly. But checked it out and realized it was just like the sub bumper that's behind the plastic fascia bumper that was kind of kinked in, and it didn't look like it did much damage other than a few fins of the radiator and stuff were kind of bent in. So after calling my insurance company and letting them know what happened, single car accident. Anyways, like I just went on my merry way back to Nashville and, kept a close eye on the temperature just because I figured if there was any damage to the radiator, we'd see that temperature gauge climbing up. But yeah, not a shimmy, not a
Right.
shake, nothing. And got home for Thanksgiving. And anyways, I'm already dragging this out to way too far. But took it to a Mercedes dealership to have it fixed, and they're like, "Oh, it'll be $1,000 to replace the bumper, no big deal." Fast forward 5 months, 5 months of it being in the shop and me essentially being homeless and a couch surfer in my 40s, which is not a good look. Um, anyways, they decided to total it after they took it apart piece by piece to find that the frame rail heads. Yeah, sorry. um, yeah, the one of the frame rails was pushed back and dimpled the firewall, and they couldn't straighten it out, and so they totaled it.
So was that the insurance that declared that, or was that the Mercedes dealership that declared that?
That was the Mercedes body shop that declared that. They even
Hmm.
supposedly flew in somebody from Mercedes to check it out before they made the claim. Um, it was just a lot of back and forth, and I hope no one else has to go through that. It's just I didn't realize that the Sprinters had such a glass jaw. It's definitely their Achilles heel, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you got in an accident, and the Revel was technically declared a total loss.
hmm
What insurance were you going through, and what did they say?
Cool thing is in a rare occurrence of adulting on my part. Usually I'm not good at this stuff. I got from day one with the Revel, I got the total cost replacement through Progressive, and which I would highly recommend. Um, Basically, what happens, and I'm sure there might be some insurance folks in the audience. I hate to mansplain it, but anyways, if anything ever happens to your van, they give you market rate, not just like a replacement cost to the van. So I got my Revel for like I think it was 124 and some change. They actually gave me a substantial amount more because the newer Revels that cost a replacement, I think they were stickering for like in one, like 180 or so. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was with that money that I was able to, put it down on a new van and, even a few extra goodies along the way too. So I really lucked out, even though it took 5 months to get there.
Yeah, I guess it was worth it in the long run, huh?
Totally. Yeah, I love it.
So, how come you just didn't go get another Revel? What made you get a
Um,
Storyteller?
I don't know. It's I don't want to knock them because the Revel's a great van. I always kind of refer to it as more of a mass market adventure van, because um, it's got a lot of great features that make ownership super easy, especially if you don't want some of the hardships or potential compromise that some other like smaller builds might have. I looked at all of them, when I was in the market for a new van, and I hate to even admit this, but even when I had my Revel, I had, storyteller lust all the way. She didn't know I was looking,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah. Um, but the Revel, I don't know. It's in the first couple months of ownership. I struck out on the road and just kind of hit a lot of hurdles. Because back then it was still a new platform for them. I think I got essentially like the second year it was released, I think. And so um, even though they've been making coaches and stuff like that for years, there's still a lot of bugs to be worked out, with the Revel. But I think the biggest thing was this sounds so bad. Again, not to poo poo the brand, they're great bands. But as soon as I pulled the seat, because they've got a front seat, much like the Groove Lounge, but it's fixed. But to do a quick repair on the heater, which the S-bar heater is down underneath the seat there. Um, Anyways, I noticed that it was just basically like 2x2 wood stapled together, to make the structure that you're sitting on and the seat belts are attached to. And the more I started upgrading the van, the more I got into it, the more I realized the whole thing was just kind of put together like that. And that's one thing when I saw my first Storyteller, I was like, oh my God, everything's like welded aluminum and steel. And, this thing isn't going to shake loose. And, because the Revel had a lot of creaks and cracks, especially going off road when everything's twisting and shaking around. But, yeah, that's the biggest difference so far.
Okay. So you live full-time in the Revel, and now you live full-time in the Storyteller, correct?
Yep.
So how long have you had your Storyteller now?
Oh, goodness, since June, I think. So just a few months. We're still getting to know each other, the honeymoon phase.
Right. And then how long did it take you to get your Storyteller
once
you decided on it?
Oh, goodness, I don't even want to admit this on camera. I called in every favor I could because I'm trying to think when that was. I got my, Progressive sent me my check and stuff like that, totaled out the Revel. And once I found out it was totaled the day of, I started emailing every single dealership I could that's on the dealer list, just begging, pleading. I mean, not really that bad, but and then reaching out to everybody I knew in the Revel community. Just, I was even trying to find brokers because I didn't know that was even a thing, but got introduced to several people that were just kind of in the business of finding vans for people and RVs in general. And, it's crazy. I really put out every last feeler I could. I was even offering a commission, and whatever that was going to be, I don't know. Because I heard of, the Storytellers having, I think it was like 6 to 8 months at the time, the waiting list when I initially started looking, which is just crazy. But it's worth it for those that are in line right now. It's totally worth it. But yeah, I really lucked out because, not to go on too much, but I was actually starting to look at getting an apartment again and a regular car and just totally disheartened on a Sunday morning, just flipping through Auto Trader, a dealership website. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to hang up my Spurs for a year while I wait for my Storyteller. And I got a call, actually. Oh, goodness, from John. Oh, goodness, I feel so bad. I can't remember the name of the dealership right off the top of my head. But anyways, out in Tacoma, Washington. And anyways, he's just like, I've got a classic that the deal fell through. Do you want it? And before he could finish the sentence, I had my credit card out and ready to give him the deposit. So I really lucked out on that.
Oh, nice. So how long did you actually have to wait then from the time from the time you started to look to the time you actually got it delivered?
Goodness, I guess from that phone call on, just working with my bank and stuff, getting that all squared away. I think from insurance check to driving off the lot, about a month and a half, somewhere in there. So,
Oh, wow.
Like I said, I totally, really, I don't know how, I was just blessed. And yeah, again, I feel bad admitting that right now because, again, I know several people that are out there waiting, 6, 8 months, even a year or more.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it worked out for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be future deals that fall through, unfortunately. So, I mean, I'm sure someone else will be able to be bumped up in the waiting list, and hopefully they can get there sooner than anticipated. But yeah,
I hope so.
But okay, so yeah, so you've lived in it for at least a couple months now. Let's talk about what you miss from the Revel, what you don't miss, and then what you like about the Storyteller and what you don't like about the Storyteller in comparison to the Revel.
That's a tough one. Because even though they, on the outside, look very similar, the underpinnings of the Storyteller, it just seems like a a much more well thought out design. It's purpose built. This is the only platform, well, up until just recently with the 2022s. The Sprinter, I feel like it's just so well laid out. Every little detail is thought about. Whereas the Revel kind of felt like they're trying to cram everything in from a regular size RV into this smaller package, and construction techniques and everything. And also too, I'm not addressing this in order. I'm so sorry. But anyways, like just to general insights, just the build quality of the Storyteller is just head and shoulders above anything else I've seen. It's just amazing, just the craftsmanship that goes into it. From concept to completion, though, there are very few shortcomings that I see, and even then they're easy fixes, and stuff that I plan on fixing.
Like what?
It's little things. That's the thing. It's just so hard. Like, it's just like, how do you nitpick a Picasso when you see it hanging on the wall? Like, are you gonna critique the brush strokes of it? I don't know. Just for me, stuff like, for instance, like the garage lighting. The button only being on the back. Inevitably, I always put the bed down and forget that the lights are on. I'd almost like something towards the front, in the galley area, just a secondary button to kind of turn it off. I know that's probably easier said than done. Just, again, little nitpicky things like that. There's really not much to think about. I just got my screens. They didn't come with, they're, I guess, cranking out vans and it couldn't keep up the screens. But just missing a Velcro strip. I mean, and these are just such minor details. I feel like they're first world problems. And other than that, just maybe some plug placement. Like, one thing I learned, we can get into this later, being a bigger frame dude, like sometimes when you have something plugged into the AC outlet in the galley, you're going to rub up against it, and stuff. It'd almost be better if it was on one side or the other of the galley, just for clearance sake. I guess same thing with the Groove Lounge when it's all the way up, is you got that, little tight area that, thankfully I can squeak through, but I can see where, I've had my waders on before and trying to get through the back of the van. And sometimes it's just that it just kind of catches a little bit. But again, these are such little minuscule issues that, it's just amazing. I love the van.
So what was some things that you didn't like about the Revel?
Again, it's kind of the build quality and craftsmanship, the trim, nothing seemed to fit right. It was just it felt slapped together. And again, they're on a different level than Storyteller is, production wise, because they're probably cranking out 100 vans a day, whereas, Storyteller is doing that much a year or whatever the numbers happen to be. So I think that the attention to detail wasn't what I expected for the money, and being my first RV, I just assumed, it's so weird to put these in the category of an RV, but I guess that's what it is. But I just assume that's the way they're all built, just kind of, again, stick and staples together. And I don't know, I kind of felt, not gypped, that's just an extreme word, but I mean, when you're paying $125,000 for something, you kind of want to have a certain level of expectation there, but that's probably my biggest takeaway from that.
Is there anything on the Revel, like feature wise, that you wish was on the Storyteller?
I love the openness of the floor plan, but I do kind of miss a dedicated bathroom, because it uses the cartridge style toilet, that actually loads out of the side. It kind of separates you from your waist just a little bit more. It's really convenient. Honestly, I hate to even admit this, but I think this the one shortcoming of the Storyteller is the stock Dometic toilet that came with it. I picked up my van in Tacoma, and I think that I threw out my Dometic toilet when I got to where was I? I don't think I've even left Washington yet. Before I was just like, this is for the birds. I can't. I need to figure out an alternative for this.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah,
What
I
did
think I
you
was in
figure
Bend
out?
when I chucked it. um, I don't. I just kind of had an issue with carrying a tank of waste, through by the galley and out the door, and that's one thing that I loved about the Revel is that it was in its own little sealed compartment that you'd access from the outside. Um, and you could take that cassette out and just like carry on luggage, had little rollies on it, and you could take it over to a vault or pit toilet, chuck it out, and then just reinsert it, and you're good to go again. And I think the first time this is kind of gnarly to admit, like, but a little bit of pea sloshed, at the kitchen, and I was like, okay, no, this isn't gonna fly. So I quickly sought out alternatives.
So what do you use for a bathroom now, since you chucked the toilet?
um, I guess that was a hasty decision, but I'm trying to. I've explored all kinds of alternatives. I just to get me home, I got can't remember the brand name of it. But anyways, it's like essentially a camp toilet you'd find like whitewater rafting. It folds up flat like a suitcase, and it has three legs that pop down, and there's like a little net, and you basically go in a thick like contractor bag thick, um, bag that you seal up, and it's biodegradable. But I never leave it, of course. But you just seal it up and drop it off at your next gas stop, which is kind of convenient. Um, so that's kind of what I have right now. It's not the perfect solution, but it works better than a Stuckey's truck stop rest station at 3 a.m.
Yeah, right. Is there any other features from the Revel that you wish was on the Storyteller?
um, I don't know. I think it's just that bathroom I miss the most. Just there's yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything. And they took a good stab at it design wise. I just and it's great for I think families and again kind of more general purpose stuff. But you know, I don't know. I guess I'm just so in love with my Storyteller, and I hate to plug that so hard. There's almost no going back. I guess the only other feature I do like the most is it actually had built-in curtains that were reflective on the side. So instead of having, like your covers, you just literally just, push it down just like you're in a house, and did a really good job
Mm.
of stealth camping with a light not getting out, and did a fairly decent job of insulation too.
Oh, okay. So moving to the Storyteller, what's your favorite part of the Storyteller other than the build quality? Something more of like a feature, like maybe the Volta, maybe it's, the bed. I mean, I don't know. Like,
The Volta being the biggest one, I think. Actually, that brings up an interesting topic. It's like they stole the batteries of an old Russian sub or something like that. I don't know how they last as long as they do. So, I mean, I've been out in the middle of the desert, and I work remotely, as I'm sure a lot of listeners do, and so just to have the AC cranking and it's like 60 in here while it's 100 outside is a game changer, and with my Revel, it had AGM batteries in it, and so anybody that's been in a AGM powered van, they don't last very long, and you certainly don't have enough juice to run AC off of. And so I had boxes on the back with a generator and a little Honda S2000, and just it was just so loud, like, and again, working during the day with a web conference, you're having to battle like the sound of a generator humming in the background, and people instantly know what's up, so
mm,
just how quiet, comfortable, user friendly. The Volta is a game changer. It's absolutely the best. Well, one of the best things about the fan, I think.
nice. So, what is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned when you started living full time in the Storyteller?
Um, it's indifferent than the Revel or just van life in general.
Just in general.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. It's just I'm just trying to think of, just I think that it's more in line with my lifestyle, and just it's super sporty, awesome. The garage is freaking huge, and one of the things with the Revel is whenever you have bikes in the back, if anybody rides a 2.9er out there, which I'm sure a lot of people do, um, just with the Revel, you could never lower the bed all the way down, and the way that it's built is it kind of have these side troughs, whereas the Revel bed, it's right at the right height. Just lower your saddle down, and you can fit anything back here. I've actually got suckered into helping my sister move with my van because I've got so much space there. But I don't think I'm answering the question right. I'm going off on a tangent.
No, it's okay. So we were talking before we started recording, and long story short, you ended up getting bit by a tick and you got Lyme disease.
Hmm.
Is that correct, or what happened there? Like, were you hiking
Yeah.
and then a tick fell on you and then you got Lyme disease, and then like what? Did you go to the hospital? I mean, how severe was the disease?
Oh man. Yeah, we're gonna have to extend the show. No. Um, yeah, just growing up in the South, it's just hot, humid. It's a perfect breeding ground for ticks, and going out for hikes all the time and stuff. I literally mid hike would be picking, six, seven, eight of them off my legs at a time. Even after putting DEET on, which I highly recommend, even though the ticks down here in Tennessee just laugh at that. But anyways, just the word of caution I could give anybody is just please check yourself all the time whenever you're out in a lot of high grass or vegetated areas like that, especially in hot humid climates, because that's what they like the most. And but it's kind of just part of being outside in Tennessee. I've even gotten them out kayaking somehow, which is crazy. But I think I really didn't know that I was affected by Lyme disease. Just the first signs that something was wrong is just I used to weigh about a buck 80. I ballooned up within 3 to 6 months and gained a bunch of weight, and just thought it was just part of getting old. Like as I had turned 40, and it's just like, oh, it's just this is what happens, and then all kinds of other symptoms, just being tired all the time, kind of hazy, and but the big thing is like joints hurting, like it was almost crippling. Yeah, I couldn't walk a block down the street without my hips and knees feeling like they're gonna explode
Oh
like a
wow.
hot dog in the microwave. Yeah, and so was constantly going to my doctor, like, look, this is what's going on, that's what's going on, and I remember the last day I ever saw him, he opens up the door and he's like, "Oh, you again?" And I'm like, it's time I figure this out because he's not the right fit, and he just didn't
Yeah.
understand. So I hate to be one of those self-diagnosers, but I got online and um, started asking around, and people started pointing me the directions. Like, have you gotten tested for Lyme disease? And so did that. Turned out that I was positive, and so it was like that magic moment where everything just kind of comes together, and just realize, holy cow, this is not just me being a hypochondriac or whatever, because I hate going to the doctor. Um, but there's a network of what they call Lyme literate doctors that are out there, guys that do know how to connect all the pieces, and more importantly, how to treat it. And here I am, after going through multiple rounds of just some really intense, drug regimens, both Eastern and Western style stuff. I'm finally starting to feel like myself, and I'm finally losing weight and trying to get back on my bike again, which is all I want.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Holy
Thank
cow.
you.
So how long was it that you had Lyme disease without knowing?
Um, Goodness, it had to have been 2, 3 years. Just, again, I just thought it was just being old, and, I've been pretty active my whole life, and, just, did the weight gain, I think it was the first indicator, because I've had the luxury of pretty high metabolism all through my 20s and 30s, and that catches up with everybody, and I'm just like, oh, this is just, this is me, and but like I said, with the aches and pains that, are just a little bit more than your normal, stuff, over 40, but, when you're choking down handfuls of Advil and whatever just to get through the day, go see your doctor.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you found out what it was. That sounds so awful. And thanks for the advice in regards to trying to, protect yourself from ticks and whatnot. That's, not only, well, I mean, I think they're super scary, but I never really think about Lyme disease, so.
Totally.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that story with us. It's crazy.
Thank you for letting me share it.
Yeah, of course. So, is there any last tidbit, or should I say advice, that you'd like to give the audience that you've learned so far since living in the Storyteller, since you're full time?
God, there's so many. You could write a book. Really, I don't know. I don't know. It's just there's a huge community out there. I think that beyond the owner's manual, you're going to find the most value in the Facebook group and on websites like, Stonation, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong in your van, and it will, but I think that just having the tight-knit community around the brand, not only are they super cool people, it's kind of like a cool qualifier, but everybody's so helpful, and you need that. And I've saved thousands of dollars, just tapping the collective knowledge of the community. And, I can't thank everyone enough for that kind of support. I think that's probably the best advice I can give you is if you have an issue, go to Facebook. Somebody's done it, fixed it, and we'll be glad to help you with it. So. Nice.
Well, that kind of leads me to my last question, which is, what does it mean for you to be part of the Stonation community?
I haven't gone any meetups yet, but I definitely want to. I just want to be able to give it back, add some value where I can, and some insight. I'm still new to this platform, but not to van life in general. And don't judge me. I had a Revel before, so no
judgment.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's got to start somewhere, and but yeah, I just would like to make myself available for anything, whether you're looking for some cool rivers to fish or, a place to boondock, especially in the Southeast. That's kind of my home, before I made the rest of the country my home. I'd be glad to help out where I can.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Ryan, for taking the time out to come on Stonation and be a guest. I really had a pleasure talking with you and learning the differences that you had between the Revel and the Storyteller. And I'm even more happier that you're actually love your Storyteller, because I think it would be one thing to like switch over and be like, I'd made the mistake and I should have got another Revel. So, I mean, which is fine if that fits your your needs more, but.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Stonation is a production of Park Media. The executive producer is Younghwa Kim. The audio engineer is
Stephen Grasso.
The marketing director is
Guillaume Golsong.
The original music and artist is done by
Jason Walsmith.
The sound designer is
Lorenzo Interiano.
And the webmaster is
Peng Shi.
Without any of these people, this podcast couldn't happen, so a big, huge thank you. And a big, huge thank you to you, the listener. If you like this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a 5-star review. This is Younghwa with Stonation, and I can't wait to share the road with you.